What is going on, everyone? We are back with another horror reaction in Search of Darkness. I am Depraved.
I'm Hellcat.
And together we are...
Hella Depraved.
And hella horror. So, this is the next movie.
1980s.
And this is
Maniac.
actually the last movie from the 1980s segment of
Then
In
we're
Search of
moving on
Horror.
to 1981.
Which, by the way, I didn't know they were going by year until we started watching Maniac, and I was watching the video, and it shifts and says 1981, and I'm like, oh, they're doing it by year.
Makes
Because I've been
a
sitting
lot
here
of
like,
sense.
why are they focusing so much on 1980?
Right.
And now then it made sense.
Right.
Anyways, so this is Maniac, and this is widely regarded as usually within the top 20 to 25 slasher movies all time. Not high in the top 20 to 25, but in the top 20 to 25.
One that needs to be seen.
And I 100% disagree. But we'll get there.
Right.
We'll get
Right.
there. Baby, hit him with what we think is the plot.
I mean, okay, so that's kind of... The way that things are revealed in the movie is not the way that the synopsis for any of it is written. You're left kind of wondering until halfway, and then you're like, I no longer really care when it's revealed.
I almost fell
I
asleep
mean,
during
like,
this movie a couple times because I was like, yeah, this is
I
stupid.
did care up until a point, and then I was just like, yeah, whatever his reasons, you do you, boo. They're your own. I no longer care. So, in terms of the actual synopsis, though, it points out our main character, Frank, was abused as a child by his prostitute mother. First sentence on Wikipedia would have made the movie make so much more sense. Anyway, as a result, he becomes a serial killer, which honestly, I think it's more that he becomes so socially awkward and incapable, and also has some male problems.
Mommy issues. Big
mommy issues. That it leads to frustration building and him becoming a serial killer. But, you know. Anyway, he starts...
He actually kind of starts taking on different personas.
Well,
throughout the movie. Every interaction with people is under a different guise.
Kind of.
He has this almost proper sort of...
Right.
Artsy businessman
right.
side to him. He has the disgusting
awkward,
kind of nasty
beater,
side to him.
But he also, he's constantly talking to himself in different voices, which, by the way, I could tell was his mom. I just didn't know what kind of relationship he had with his mom up until the reveal, and then, like I said, it didn't matter.
Look at that happy kitty.
Yes, I have a kitty. But, so he... he goes around, he kills them, he scalps them, and he nails their scalps to mannequins so that he can keep his victims alive and apparently non-rotting, non-stenchy in his room. I don't know how he manages that. But he goes after, I guess, kind of like the wrong person, finally. And,
she stabs him.
Yeah. And he ends up,
He goes back home without getting his last kill.
Whiny.
Whiny.
To his mother.
Absolutely whiny, bitchy whiny. Yeah. Like, I wanted to stab him myself.
Yeah. Crying to his mother, curls up in bed, and...
the mannequins come alive.
He's hallucinating about all of his kills coming back to kill him. Yada yada. It sounds like in the final reveal that he may have actually caused his mother's death because she was so abusive, and obviously sees that as a problem. The officers finally are onto him. I don't know how they found him again. I don't know how they found his house, but they bust in and it looks like he died.
And then they just leave.
Which no cops would do, having stumbled into a room that has all these mannequins that have nailed scalps to their heads.
There's a guy bloody in bed from being stabbed.
And they just they shut the door politely behind them as they leave. And then all of a sudden his eyes pop open and you're like, and this is why they never leave. This is why.
This is so stupid. So.
Right.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna start talking about the acting, but specifically, I want to talk about Frank Zito, the main villain of this movie. Okay.
Right.
I'm disappointed in the fact that he kind of looks like me, but fatter and more disgusting.
Thank God you don't wear wife beaters or look like that. I don't think so, but you know.
And for the, not to a T, but he wears the same kind of mustache that I have.
I honestly don't. I know.
It's disgusting.
Maybe it's denial, but I don't think. Yeah.
I
could barely get through this movie, not just because of.
Here's
plot.
the thing.
It's the mouth breathing. He does the whole goddamn time.
When he's stalking. When he's stalking, he goes into mouth breather mode, and he's like, which I almost made the sound of our intro. By the way, I chose a different sound.
Thank you.
But that was almost the one I went with.
It's bad.
Here's the thing.
But
They remade this
shadow.
movie. They remade this movie in 2012 and got Daniel Radcliffe to play the Frank role. And I only know this...
Elijah Wood, baby.
Or Elijah Wood. I get them both mixed up. Shush.
I think that's hilarious that you just said Daniel Radcliffe. I think Harry Potter would have been funny. Elijah Wood plays a fantastic villain, though.
Look.
Having seen him in Sin City.
No, she's right. I fucked that up. Here's the thing, though. The only reason I know this is they had a video that popped up on my feed today from What Culture Horror. There was like 10 movies that got the casting right the second time, and Elijah Wood, right? Okay, Elijah Wood is the one that's not gonna help. Look, Elijah Wood and Daniel Radcliffe to me is what Ethan Hawke and Kevin Bacon are also to me. Those two sets of actors I always mix up.
Right.
Anyways.
It's fine.
Anyways.
Elijah Wood, honestly...
They're both fantastic actors.
When
regardless.
I first saw him in Sin City, I was flabbergasted. I didn't even realize that it was him. He is that good at this role.
Here's my problem. I do want to see Maniac, and I do think he's going to be good for this role. I still think Joe is perfect for this role. He played this role in a way that disgusts you.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel uneasy.
Well, it makes you feel unclean. Yeah.
And that is perfect.
It really is. Here's the biggest problem for me was trying to figure out what in God's name the fuck was going on the whole time, like until halfway, 3/4 of the way through. And if I had known a little bit sooner,
well, by the time they get around to the reveal,
I don't care.
You're like, this movie has been stupid.
Right.
It's literally just been, honestly, think of like a portrait of a serial killer.
Him picking out his kills.
He goes, picks out his kills, stalks them, kills them, and then he's on to the next one.
But my other problem, and this was played well, is he reverts to his like 8-year-old self where he is utterly whiny. But he talks to his mom. So like he's going between all these like different versions of himself, which, you know, she really did a number on him. But it's like, I wish I understood what was going on just a little bit sooner, because honestly, it just became frustrating. And then when it hits the reveal, you're like, yeah, I kind of figured out most of this already. But then the ending, I wasn't satisfied. I was not satisfied with the cops just shutting the door. Like, I mean, it's funny, but it's not.
I feel like we watched a different version than what... Peep this. Fun fact. Censorship.
Yeah.
Since the film was not submitted to the MPAA, the film was released unrated with the designation for adults only. Despite the poster stating no one under 17 will be admitted, a severely edited version of the film received an R rating in the South and was distributed in March 1981. In several other states, such as California, of the unrated version shortly after its first U.S. domestic release in New York in January 81. the film was refused a classification by the British Board of Film Classification upon its original cinema release, and was additionally banned for video in 1998, but was later passed as an 18 certificate in 2002 with 58 seconds of cuts. So they had to cut out 58 seconds of the movie to get that rating. But then, and was passed by the BBFC for 2022 release from 88 films.
Okay.
In Australia, the film's promotional campaign featured a censored version of the theatrical poster image, which blacked out the scalp head and the killer's hand.
But I will say that in terms of gore, like, they legit show a full scalping.
Right.
They don't just imply it. So there is a level of gore that would offend.
By the way, regardless of what we end up thinking of this movie, this had the, in my opinion, one of the top 3 greatest decapitation scenes I have ever seen in my goddamn life. It was done by the legendary Tom Savini on himself, which is even cooler.
Right.
He's sitting in a car. He's playing one of the roles where he's sitting in a car with a girl on a date. And he does the whole thing where he pretends that the car dies on the side of the road. And she even plays on, she's like, oh, do you do this with all your dates?
Right.
And he kind of jokes back with her. And he's like, you know, you want to meet me in the back seat? Or, you know, they kind of go back and forth. And
she's like, my boyfriend's going to be so mad at me. And I was like, oh, girl.
But before anything could truly happen.
Right.
Well, no, they start kind of getting into it. That's what happens. And they're in the back seat, and he's like rubbing on her leg and making out with her. And she sees his figure in the window behind him. And she's like, no. We got to go. Get the fuck off me. Something disgusting just looked at me. Which is the first time I've ever seen a part like that in a movie and been like, oh my god, she makes sense.
Right.
She's like, let's get the fuck out of here. I just seen some shit. And of course, Tom's like, no, we're good. Nothing's going on out there. No. And then, so they finally get in the car, and as soon as they get in the car, the fucking main villain jumps up onto the hood of a car like he's a goddamn superhero, lands in a knee-down pose, pulls the shotgun out, and blows Tom's head off. And it is, again, the way it exploded.
It was spectacular.
Was so well done.
Yeah, I had a problem with the landing, because here's the thing.
And it was all slow motion and stupid.
Right. Joe Spinell, though, in this role, is a beer-gutted 40-something-year-old man who mouth breathes when he's stalking. He is in no way capable of jumping
onto the hood of the car
without a running start and landing. It's not feasible. But it was fun. I will not talk points for that because it was fun.
It's the best part of this whole movie.
Again, a lot of the gore was
fantastic.
Incredible.
Absolutely fantastic gore wise.
I didn't feel like it was over gory either.
Here's what people seem to think, right? In the 80s, people seem to think that a lot of 80s movies are very over gory, and I feel like it's not that they were over gory. They were finally starting to show the right amount of gore for what should happen in these situations.
Whereas a lot of people like the implication versus the visual.
Right. Most people would rather have to try and envision it themselves.
But they don't envision it correctly.
Right.
I mean, so what I'm saying is in this one, like, you see one scalping, like, full. And then the rest of them are done off screen. But you know that he's done them.
Well, you see him start to do them, like he puts the knife up to their head. And
right, but then it's just, it fades.
Pan away or whatever.
But that's the appropriate amount of gore to me. Like, they didn't do it over and over and over. They just showed you once so you knew what was happening, move on. So, what is your overall rating, baby?
Well, hold on, we're not done yet. As far as the acting goes, though, aside from that one moment, or that one, because we only talked really about Joe Spinell, everyone really did quite well.
Yeah, I wasn't, like, you know?
Oh, wow, Tom Savini was known as Disco Boy. That was the guy's name, Disco Boy.
I mean, like, I suppose...
Is it Savini or Savini?
Savini.
Savini.
However, he is at the disco, and that's where he picks up the chick, so I suppose that makes sense. thought everyone.
She was
did
a
good
burner.
job.
He'd have had great balls of fire.
Right.
But no, acting for the most part was
been fever dancing at that point.
pretty solid.
Yeah.
It did have a couple of those like 80s overly dramatic moments though, where like somebody's like screaming and like over dramatizing the
before they got yeah.
but that was a thing in the 80s. So
the prostitute was screaming while he was strangling her, which is
impossible.
Impossible, guys. Like maybe a scream cut off, but then yeah. Plus, like I described him before, he's a 40-something-year-old guy with a beer gut, and he's like fucking sitting on her chest. She ain't screaming for.
I thought
5
to
minutes.
myself when that was happening, because we didn't actually talk about it during watching the movie, but I remember thinking to myself, I was like, "There's no way she'd be able to keep screaming, like he's fucking choking her. Why
sitting
is
on
she?"
her chest. Yeah. Plus, that's why they were in a hotel, like. Legit, somebody should have bust in with how long they had her screaming.
This suffers. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give my rating for this. This suffers from the same thing that Fade to Black suffered from, in that the plot is all over the place. It's non-existent most of the movie, and then all over the place.
Don't understand. Yeah.
All at once.
Yeah. And
I really feel halfway through the movie, I was pretty much out for the count.
Right. But
I was
halfway through the movie is where it all starts making sense.
I no longer care.
Right, which is unfortunate.
I reading just a little bit of the synopsis of the Elijah Wood version, straight out the gate saying the guy owns a mannequin shop.
Makes so much more
all of a sudden makes everything make way more sense. Instead, he's like jacking fucking mannequins from a mannequin store in this movie.
In this one, and he's like making like legit jacking to the mannequins through the window to the mannequin store.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you're humping the window. Wow.
No
wonder.
It's
again, like they didn't deviate from the story as they saw it. My problem is that they left. I don't have a problem with normal, like, finding out the twist of the killer or the psychiatric problems later in the story. It's just that the way that the first half of this was done is so loosely tied together. It doesn't have a driving plot point. It is him out just sort of stalking and
he doesn't even fit the mold of a
just
traditional normal serial killer either, because even then things would have at least made sense. Like,
is there a mold?
For most of them, yes.
Okay.
They pick on a specific group of people because that group of people typically isn't.
I think this is just like
he's
picking on pretty women.
It's women, but it's all over the place type of
right.
women.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he starts off, the first one's a prostitute.
Yeah. The next one is the disco chick.
Well, the disco chick and the guy that she's with.
I think that's more of just like he was in the way, but yeah.
And then he goes on to do the photographer.
But he's stalking the photographer, but she is not the next kill. It's her muse that she's been taking pictures of that he kills next.
Oh, yeah.
And then he goes after the photographer and she stabs him.
Right. It's just, I don't know. Usually there's like a method to the madness, even if we don't personally understand it.
I just kind of feel like, it needed a plot. I don't know. It was too loosey-goosey for the first half, and like I said, you kind of just don't care. He's in no way a redeemable character whatsoever, so you honestly don't care about him.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. There's nothing about him that you care about. He's mouth breathing for long periods of time. He's whining. He's, humping like big store windows. There's nothing about it that you're like, oh, this guy's funny, or this guy's like, you don't understand that he's an abused boy that maybe has multiple personalities. You don't get any of that. It doesn't like.
That's like one of the things they show you in the very beginning of the movie. He sits up in bed. This is even before he goes out and gets his first woman. He sits up in bed and he's getting dressed. and you see scars on his body.
Right.
So you're like, okay, something probably happened to him as a kid that's fucked
Trauma.
up.
Right. Well, and he has a shrine to his mom, which was the assumption I had immediately.
But then, like,
And is
you don't
talking
even
to her.
you don't even find out she was putting cigarettes out on him until the very end.
Well, you don't even find out she was abusive until the very end. Like, you just
Right.
know that he has some weird, like, she died early in his life. You do find that out. But that's, so he revered her is all you know. Like, he talks to her. Anyway, it was just, I feel like there were too many things that weren't tight enough at the beginning. It could have been, again, I'm looking forward to seeing the remake to see what they did to make the plot,
Makes sense. Quicker, hopefully.
quicker, because it makes sense at the end.
Yeah,
It's
this
just,
this wasn't as bad in terms of Fade to Black. Still, really didn't make much sense.
Yeah, no, this really wasn't. It's just, I feel like it realized itself too late for you to
Care.
truly give a shit about what was going on.
And at the end of the day, the guy that plays the Maniac is the guy that wrote the movie, by the way.
He's one of the writers.
I was unaware.
Yeah. But beautifully filmed.
So Fade to Black
Gore
was
was done by Savini. It was on point.
Fade to Black was in my opinion, the worst movie we had seen up to that point, and then this one just beats it out. I still find Fade to Black to at least have a little bit of enough charm to have a little bit more of my attention in certain spots.
I'll agree with that.
Whereas this one,
It really lost.
It lost me too hard.
Yeah.
Lost me too hard. That's probably not going to make sense to some people. There's going to be some people who are like, I cannot believe that you guys don't like this. It's just...
It had some high points, and honestly, they were
the movie has no personality.
They were the Savini Gore points. It just doesn't. It just really doesn't. And I do like the fact that it makes you uncomfortable. I do like that because it came through
that's a good tactic for some horror movies. Like, that tactic, in my opinion, works out amazingly well in The Hills Have Eyes remake and its sequel.
You honestly just, just needed a little bit more focus at the beginning. It needed a little bit more to give me that, why do I care what's going on type thing. Because following a serial killer and the way that they did it in terms of, like, this is his normal day. This is his routine. Like, that's what you're getting out of the movie. You're uncomfortable because he's mouth breathing. He's, like, just watching. Like, he's creepy. Like, I could have gotten into this movie had there been a little oomph, a little push from the beginning that made it, okay, that's what we're doing with this movie. And I think that's what this is suffering from. And because of it, the entire thing falls apart because you don't get what you want until 3/4 of the way through, and you're like, it no longer matters. I've had to sit here and watch all of this, and I'm not going back and watching it again now that I get
Right.
So anyway.
So with that being said, I am giving this the lowest ranking I've given it. If you're wondering what I'm looking at, I'm looking at my phone. 1.5. 1.5. Fuck.
Mannequins. Scalps.
1.5.
Shovels.
What is it? Mannequins. 1.5 mannequins.
That's gonna be interesting. One arm. Yeah. I'm giving this 1.5 switchblades.
Oh, I gotta go find that again. I deleted it.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Oh, I didn't use the switchblade last time. It was the straight razor.
Yeah, I am sorry. Like, I get parts of why this is important. Like, Savini was amazing with his scalping. Like, everything was perfect. Like, really stellar job. It was filmed incredibly well. Acting was great. Like, there were so many things that could have made this what everyone hyped it up to be, in my opinion. But it just falls so flat from that for me that part of those are disappointment switchblades that were removed. But yeah.
I will give Tom Savini's Head Explosion a 5 out of 5 on the epic grandness scale.
I will give The Scalping a 5 out of 5 as well. Yeah.
But the rest movie can go to hell. All right.
Yeah.
That's gonna do it for this one. I'm so glad we got that out of the way. It's like ripping the Band-Aid off, and
You mean like scalping it?
that too.
Right.
The next one we'll be checking out. We're finally getting into 1981, and we'll be moving on to Scanners.
Right.
Does the old scanner way suck your brain dry? Anyways, we love you guys. We'll see you next time. Take care.